Hello, in this video I wanted to discuss a little bit about finding developers for your Unreal Engine project. Over the last month or two, I wanted to essentially find some help for my project. So I started looking into this a little bit more seriously, and I've got some findings that I just wanted to share with you. So I've actually played around with some of these things over the last few years, but like I say, I've sort of gotten a little bit more in depth over the last month or two. So I'll just dive straight into it. So one of the first ones that I wanted to share was the Epic or the Unreal Engine forums. So there's a page here for got skills or looking for talent, and it effectively caters both sides, right? So if you're an engineer and you wanted to make an advert looking for work, you can post it here. If you're basically a company or someone looking for developers, you can also make a post. So there's a helpful page here for instructions and guide, and this will basically help people make the relevant post. So for example, if your post is tagged for hire, that means you're some sort of an engineer, developer. So this one is a level designer, and they're looking for a job, right? So that's this one over here, and you'll be able to read through the descriptions. And similarly, for example, if a post is tagged paid, this is where you're looking for an engineer. So you're making a post which basically says we're looking for 3D artist in this case. In terms of views, they don't have too many views, so I think this number probably represents the views. So you can see that it can take potentially several weeks to find someone here. So it really depends on your post, but you're able to sort of refresh them and get them up on that list whenever you make additional posts on that thread. So this is one of the first ones that I wanted to share. It's pretty good because the people that tend to use this are more professional. So essentially they've got quite good experience with Unreal Engine. So it's very specific to Unreal Engine. And I'm finding that the responses that you get from here are from developers which have quite a lot of experience, whether it's 5 years. One of the guys replied who had about 13 years of experience with Unreal Engine. So definitely worth noting this one, as I think it's quite good. And yeah, we can move on to the next one. Okay, so perhaps the next one that we'll go to is Upwork. So I'm going to cover both Upwork and Fiverr. They are fairly similar, but at the same time quite different as well. So we'll just go over some of the differences there. But we'll begin with Upwork. And what it allows you to do after you sort of register, it allows you to then search for talent. So here, for example, I can search for Unreal Engine, and you get yourself a list of people which match that description, right? So you're also able to then add additional parameters, like, so for example, filters on the rates. So here we go. This is updated. If you're looking for something more specific, you're able to then filter by these skills, or for example, add artist here or a modeler, right? So you can basically refine your search and find the relevant people. The other thing that you can do with Upwork is actually create a job post. And what you'll be able to do is invite these people to that job. And obviously, having the job public, other people will also be able to apply to that job as well. So it's quite useful to do that. So, and then obviously you review these profiles and decide whether or not you want to continue with them. So with both Fiverr and Upwork, you're able to sort of determine the contract. So it doesn't have to be long term. So it can either be short term, it can be part-time, it can be full-time. So it's really quite flexible. So there are some good advantages to that. So and I believe on both of these platforms, they'll be able to sort of showcase their portfolio. So occasionally they'll have a portfolio available on their page as well. So for example, some video screenshots and things like that. Okay, here we go. And you're obviously able to look through reviews. So it'll be quite useful for you to identify people with relevant skill experiences. So for example, in my case, I'm working on a stylized fantasy project. So when I'm looking through these people, I'm trying to look at their portfolio and I'm trying to find them with the relevant experience, right? So that will be quite crucial for your projects. Okay, so as you may have noticed, these profiles, they tend to have the hourly rates available here. So what this allows you to do is essentially create some sort of a contract with these individuals. And you can also customize how many hours they can work on your project per week. So like I say, in my case, I'm working on this part-time, so I'm also looking for individuals who contribute part-time as well. And this is mainly because my budget is not big enough, and I'm also not able to sort of catch up all the time, right? So there's only certain time windows that I'm available to respond on, and I actually work predominantly on the weekend as well. So you have to sort of communicate your requirements with the people. So not just on this platform, but whether you're finding people on the Unreal Engine forums, Fiverr, Upwork, doesn't matter. You want to speak to these people and make sure that you can find alignment to work together. So the other thing to bear in mind is time zones. So again, you'll have to be cautious with who you find, because if you're, for example, in the US time zone, and here, for example, we've got someone in Bangladesh, so the time zone can make it quite difficult for you to work together. So you know, some projects may be okay with you working async. So for example, you list a couple of requirements, and then the next day they'll be able to pick them up, work on it, and provide you the results. Sometimes you need it to be a bit more collaborative, right? So you have to consider all of these things when finding people. And next, perhaps we can just open Fiverr. So Fiverr is relatively similar to Upwork, but here you basically pay for the bundle, but you can customize that bundle so it's essentially delivery of work, I would call it, rather than paid per hour. So with both Upwork and Fiverr, I've actually had mixed experiences. So you know, quite a lot of YouTube reviews talk about all of these wonderful things that you can get from Fiverr. Well, to be honest, like in my experience, being 50-50, so sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good. So you do need to look through these profiles, make sure that they're aligned to your project, have a look through the reviews, see how positive they are. I guess, you know, you've got these top-rated labels as well as these Fiverr's choice, so this should be quite helpful when determining who to go for. And again, similar to Upwork, you're able to, for example, search the specifics. So if you need Unreal Engine artist, just search for that, or perhaps you need a modeler. You know, you can basically find what it is that you need. So if you actually open any one of these, it gives you these basic, standard, and premium costs. But ultimately, what you'll have to do, and I think this is literally on every single package, is to contact them and to get provided a custom offer based on your requirements. Okay, so maybe there's one more thing to mention about Fiverr in particular. Perhaps Upwork will have similar things as well. Is maybe you're looking for something quite specific, like let's say a zombie game or something, right? So um, in a lot of these cases, what you will find is that the seller will sell effectively the exact same project onto many other buyers. I mean, it's pretty obvious, I guess, right? Because the price tag is just way too cheap. So really, you have to ask yourself, like, what do you actually get for your money there? So it's usually a template, which, you know, they perhaps customize, but very, very minimally. So, for example, maybe they'll take your logo, maybe they'll put it on the main screen or something. But like you have to ask yourself how many other people will have the exact same sort of template as you. And if you are looking for a template, you can also find them on the Fab store. So, for example, if you just go here, you can just go ahead and search for a zombie template or something like that, and you can find them. There's going to be some survival templates as well. So you'll be able to find these relevant templates here, and some of them could be really good. Um, so, you know, when it comes to Fiverr and when you see some of these ads, you know, I'm sure some of them are good, but, you know, you might want to have the conversation with the developer just to understand what kind of customization are they doing. Are they selling you sort of the same thing that they sold to, you know, 100 other people, or are they making something bespoke for you? In the case of it being bespoke, you're going to see much larger price tags than these ones, right? So do consider that, you know, if you're okay with it, great. But you know, you have to be sort of aware what it is that you're buying. There's going to be one more thing that I wanted to cover as well, and that was actually the Fab Marketplace. So basically, I'm using quite a few different assets. So for example, I've referenced this one in the previous video where I've used this for my flaming sword, and I was implementing some of these spells as well in my project. So from these asset packs, quite often, so not all of them, but often, you'll see an email to the developer. And for example, in this particular case, I've emailed them over the course of the last few months with some support questions and things like that. But more recently, for example, I pinged them to say, hey, would you like to potentially collaborate and create me some custom VFX? And obviously, I'll pay for them, right? So, and they're willing to do that, right? So, I would say that this was a bit of an unexpected one in my case, where I'm using some of these VFX. I quite enjoy them. I pinged the developer, and they're willing to work for me. So this is not like a part-time contract or anything. I just basically specify some VFX that I like. They'll work on it in their own time, and then they'll just give me the price to pay essentially, right? So they're not really working for me, but they'll customize some VFX specifically for my project. So maybe you've got a similar requirement where basically you're using a couple of different asset packs from the Fab store. Have a look at the developers there. Maybe they'll be willing to work with you, right? So that was a pretty interesting one in my case. But I think that's it for this video. Hopefully you find it useful. Thanks and see you next time. Bye.